Okay. So, if I was to ask you what the supreme art of the devil would be, what would you say? The supreme art, the finest masterpiece of the devil's energy, effort, investment in a project. Like, what would be like, if he was to step back and say, yes, this is perfect, like, what would it be? I think if we asked most people, they would say something along the lines of, well, when those atheists post this, that, or some other thing on the internet, or when the the candidate that I didn't want to win wins, would be the supreme art of the devil. Or if a teen walks away from the faith in adolescence, or if a husband abandons his wife and children for his secretary, if or to lose a child due to tragic loss, or like something like that, to have someone have to suffer a lifelong of pain and agony due to illness, maybe, or to be born in an infirm manner, like, or disabled, or with a disorder, or something along that line, right? I think many people would probably say something along those lines. Maybe to have a pastor fall morally, get caught sexually, or to be caught embezzling money, or maybe you'd say that, well, his masterpiece art piece of architecture would be the televangelists out there, or that church down the road, or racism, or there's a lot of things that most people, I think, in our modern age would identify as like, that's the thing. That's where, if the devil exists anywhere, that's where it is. If you were to ask Martin Luther, the church reformer 500 years ago, what his opinion of the masterpiece of Satan's artwork would be, his answer was to make a law out of grace. To make a law, something that God has given us freely, into a regulative burden for people to carry. And he was responding to, or he was referring to, the ministry of Jesus. Like, the most harsh words that Jesus had during his ministry was against the religious leaders, that literally he said that you tie burdens around people's necks and do not even lift a finger to help them. Things like that, they would calculate the number of steps that a person was allowed to make on the Sabbath. If you stepped up one more step than that, then you were working, and now you have violated Sabbath law. Or like that, just all these like minor minutia issues, literally tithing their mint and dill, tithing out of their spice rack, while at the same time allowing widows and orphans to languish in poverty and misery. Right? That's what he was talking. He was talking about the book of Galatians. Having once been made free, will you now put yourselves back in slavery? And the essence of this still charges on into the future with us on its back. The idea that every time someone brings up, if you're a Christian and you have tattoos, I don't, someday maybe, when someone brings up, oh, you have tattoos, you must be sinful, that's making the law out of grace. When you see somebody that they've got gauges, not a fan of them, but if somebody like, oh, that person, no, or leathers, like they ride a motorcycle, or like there's so many things, like you drink alcohol, or like you spank your kids, or you only put your kids in timeout, like what do you mean you didn't breastfeed? There's so many instances, and it's not just Christians. Don't even come at me with that noise, because every person has a list of things that if you found out that someone else was doing those things, you would write them off as being anathema by your own standard. What do you mean you cut someone off on traffic? What do you mean you drive the speed limit? What do you mean that you go to Starbucks? Don't you know they hate the troops? Wait a minute. No, I don't go to Chick-fil-A. Don't you know they hate gay people? Like, there's so many instances where this emerges out of a person and it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not they're Christian or not. But we definitely see it in let's say, a more tangible or a more obvious or a harder to deny manner in Christians, because church on every corner, right? Oh, you go to that church. Have you spoken in tongues yet? Have you been confirmed? Oh, you're a Protestant. This is everywhere. The supreme art of the devil is taking things that we ought to be able to enjoy with pleasure and grace and turning that thing into a law that other people have to follow. Otherwise, they can't be saved. Or they must be saved. If you've put added regulations into the of what it takes to be saved over trusting in Christ, if you put anything over that, you have helped the devil in his finest piece of artwork.